her. The woman went to behind Shin. She grabbed him tightly, which made him unable to move. Then she stuck out her long tongue, which looked like that of a snake, and licked Shin by his neck. The woman later came out as a female demon. She bared her yellow, sharp teeth and intended to bite him by the neck.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel again. I'm Umi.
And I'm Jay, and today, guys, we are also reacting to the legend of the demonic widow. It's also a Japanese legend, myth or legend. So let's get started.
But before that, make sure you subscribe, subscribe guys, for more videos.
Yeah, guys, please support us, support this family, and join the family as well.
Yeah. This one. Okay.
Demonic.
Oh, that's scary at the beginning. That's a statue.
Yeah, what is this creepy guy doing?
In love with statue.
This scary story is about a young man named Shin.
Shin.
That day, Shin, together with his
Shin,
uncle,
oh.
went outside
I thought
to
you
dig a
were
lake for fish farming.
Hmm.
They had to finish it before the wet season arrived. The soil here was pretty stony, which made both Jin and his uncle feel wearily. As the two were digging, Shin discovered a pile of soil protruding from the ground, which looked like a grave. Shin immediately informed his uncle about it. The uncle was amazed as Shin pointed at the spot for him to see. The uncle thought for a moment, then told Shin, "We should go check on it." Dirt pile
This
was
looks like
actually
an
a huge
old
lump of
movie.
soil.
Yeah,
Shin and his uncle had to lift it up and put it aside.
looks like
Shin
anime.
and the uncle were surprised to see the thing underneath it. The uncle
thing?
told Shin, "Who on earth would bury such a statue down here?" The statue had a human face shape, which looked like that of a woman. It was beautifully crafted. The two were extremely curious to know about its origin. The uncle closely looked at the statue and then told Shin to help him dig it up. The two started digging. They had a firm belief that the statue was something highly valued. The face of the statue slowly appeared under the layer of dirt. It was a gorgeous female that had the beauty of an Asian woman. As the two raised it up, Shin was astounded by its great beauty. The uncle carefully looked at the statue. All of a sudden, at the moment he looked into the eyes of the statue, he got startled. Eyes dilated with horror. He backed up instantly, which made Shin surprised. The man's voice trembled with fear. He told Shin, "We are going to die."
What?
Shin didn't understand what had happened to his uncle. The old man stuttered, hurriedly told Shin to bring the statue deeper into the forest. Despite being confused, Shin obediently did what the uncle told him to do without disposing it. Yet he asked his uncle what had happened. The uncle said nothing, as he told Shin to quickly bury it. The two brought the statue to a spot deep into the forest. They dig a hole, then put it aside. The uncle then covered it up. He couldn't stop being scared. As the man buried the statue, he muttered something under his breath, begging for forgiveness. The statue was covered with layers of dirt. Never in Shin's life had he seen his uncle being this scared. How strange it was. The statue was just an inanimate object. After the two buried the statue, they quickly returned home. That night, the weather unexpectedly got colder as blasts of cold wind howled. As the uncle was in his sleep, he suddenly opened his eyes. There were sounds of footsteps outside. The man slowly went step by step, not to wake his wife up. As he went to a window, he drew the curtain aside to gaze. His nephew Shin was seen opening the gate and going outside. He walked clumsily, looking like a sleepwalker. The uncle wondered what Shin was doing out there this late. Sensing something bad about to happen, the man put on his jacket, then followed Shin.
Mm.
The
Who
uncle
is that
felt
statue?
suspicious
He's
as he
Oh,
saw
trying
maybe
to-
Shin
that
acting
Shin,
strange.
Shin was the guy at the start
The
holding.
door was left open when Shin went out of the house. He didn't even bother to close it.
Mm.
But
He's been
scarier than that,
hypnotized.
Shin had completely disappeared into the pitch darkness.
Mm.
How could he move so fast? At that time, there was no one else on the streets, only utter
That looks
silence
scary. This
prevailed.
street looks
Yeah.
scary.
The old man looked around, he checked every single corner, yet his nephew was nowhere to be seen. Then a disturbing thought crossed his mind, which terrified him deeply. He quickly made his way to the forest. Like a shudder premonition, the uncle's face was pale and filled with horror as he wanted to find Shin before the sun came up. What the man expected turned out to be true as he saw Shin sitting on the spot where the two buried the statue. Shin was on his knees digging up something. The uncle watched his nephew for a moment. He called Shin, but Shin didn't reply to him. He slowly approached them. Terrifyingly, both hands of Shin were badly wounded as blood was dribbling from them, while the statue was slowly revealed under the dirt. Feeling horrified, the uncle yelled loudly at Shin, telling him to stop. However, despite his uncle trying to stop him, the young man just kept
Look
digging
at
and
his
digging.
face.
His face
Oh
became
my god,
scary as he put on
I
a
think he's
haunting
been
smile.
hypnotized.
Yeah, by that statue.
Why didn't the uncle tell him what was wrong?
Yeah, because he would. But even if he did, it
But
doesn't stop
maybe he
you.
could protect himself or something, because the uncle was, I think, chanting something when they are burying.
Mhm.
The uncle acted quickly as he grabbed Shin and dragged him away from the spooky statue.
Mm.
But the strange thing was, as Shin was being kept from the statue, he screamed painfully, then attacked his uncle. Shin screamed hysterically while rushing to the statue, continuously called it his wife. His scream echoed throughout the whole forest in the black night. The
Oh,
uncle struggled desperately to get Shin
My
out of the
back is
forest and return him home.
I smacked
Inside a
his-
small house with the lights on, Shin acted insanely to his uncle and aunt's amazement. He was sitting on his bed, hugging a pillow while smiling happily. The young man even coddled it as if it was his lover. Having no other choice, the uncle had to tell his wife about his encounter with the spooky statue. The wife couldn't hide the horror on her face. She asked him
Why
if it was the
mouth is
haunted
like
statue
that?
that the villagers had been talking about all those years. Shin indeed had been possessed, which meant the myths about his statue were all true.
Mm.
Since the statue had aimed for the young man, he would be haunted to death.
Oh.
The woman then told her husband to hurriedly find a black dog in order to remove the spirit out of Shin by using the old ways their ancestors had taught them.
Mm.
No.
I'm not interested in your thing.
Just got easier.
Mm.
She also emphasized that the dog must be an old one, as it would be more effective for the incantation.
Mm.
Immediately,
How can you get
the
a
uncle
black
ran
dog?
to the nearby village to get himself an old black dog.
At this night.
The old man then returned with the dog as he saw his wife impatiently waiting for him. The dog fixed its eyes on the bed that
That
Shin was sitting
dude look like a
on,
wolf.
and growled
Yeah.
as if something had caught its attention.
That's a
It
wolf,
barked
man.
loudly
That's not dog.
afterwards. A tense atmosphere soon prevailed in the house. Shin felt horror as he trembled helplessly. The man stepped backwards while holding his pillow, looking terrified. As the man was in terrible fear, he bursted out crying loudly, then fainted shortly after that as the dog stopped barking at him.
Mm.
Feeling extremely worried, the aunt quickly checked up on Shin. She called out his name and prayed for him to pull through. The uncle couldn't hide the worried expression on his face either. Luckily, Shin had eventually woken.
Mm.
The aunt couldn't be happier to see him making it out alive.
Look at
but
that
Shin was
smile
still an
from
utterly
them.
bewilderment. He asked her,
I didn't.
"What's happened? Why am I lying here?" Then he grabbed his head and groaned as he felt an immense pain. The young man looked down at his hands. He was shocked to see them being covered with wounds and scratches. They also bled while the fingertips were badly swollen. The uncle and his wife looked at Shin, then asked what had happened with him. But even Shin himself couldn't remember exactly what the situation he had gotten into be this terrible. All he could remember was this one dream coming into his mind as he tried to recall it and tell it to his uncle. He said he was awoken by a female voice. The boy
firing.
echoed the
Yes.
city as it aroused his curiosity. He unconsciously followed it. The moment he got attracted by the voice was also the moment he opened the gate and went outside. It's like there was some kind of a mysterious force that took him over. The young man heedlessly made his way to the forest, followed the path he and his uncle had been on before that day. From afar, Shin saw a shadow moving around the spot where he and his uncle had buried the statue. She flew mid-air whilst emitting a green light, looking eerie. The woman then rushed to Shin. She stroked his face and slowly tempted him while the man was fondling her. The woman went to behind Shin. She grabbed him tightly, which made him unable to move. Then she sticked out her long tongue, which looked like that of a snake, and licked Shin by his neck. The woman later came out as a female demon. She bared her yellow, sharp teeth and intended to bite him by the neck. At that moment, Shin was completely being controlled. Out of nowhere, a black dog showed up. It barked loudly, which frightened the two. The female ghost then disappeared into the pitch darkness of the forest, leaving him with utter confusion. Shin couldn't help but being scared as he recalled his nightmare. The aunt told him that it wasn't just a dream of his, it had actually happened in real life. And the fact that he was still here was because of her husband finding him out in the forest and bringing him home. Shin was astounded. He wondered who the female ghost was and why it went to him. The uncle was filled with horror, as he told Shin it was a female ghost in folk myth, one that had been staying inside the statue. Shin couldn't figure out why the ghost had targeted him. What exactly had happened to the woman before, and how did his uncle and his aunt know so much about her? The uncle then told Shin about the legend of the statue. Back when he was still a young kid in the village, there was this widow who was gorgeous, yet being a temptress. The woman always seduced men in the village, as anyone went past her house would be tempted by her sweet words. Needless to say, all the men in the village were in love with her. They neglected their wives and families, as some even gave all their properties to the young, beautiful widow. Many women in the village held their grudge towards her, as they believed she was the reason their families were breaking apart. One day they gathered in front of her house, yelling and smashing, while the gorgeous widow stayed in her house, hiding from them. As it struck midnight, they stealthily burned down her house. The fire broke out very fast. It swept through the small log house in just a blink of an eye. The woman, together with the house, had been burned to ashes. No one was responsible for the death of the woman as time went by. Things eventually became forgotten. One night, there was this drunken man going home late as he looked warily. All of a sudden, he saw a figure slowly approaching him. Its creepy shape quickly sobered him up. The man that got startled, he collapsed on the ground. It was a woman who was horrifically burnt. There were only a few strands of hair to be seen on her head. She dilated her white eyes, wide open her mouth as if she wanted to say something. Knowing it was the woman's spirit, the villagers later invited a shaman to send it away from the village. But it didn't work at all. The ghostly female still wandered around, scaring the villagers. What was even more terrifying, the ghost always stalked men who usually went outside at night. Later, became a horror to the villagers at that time. However, the ghost could be driven away with a black dog, as it instantly backed away and disappeared if it saw one. Knowing the weakness of the female ghost, the villagers had taken in black dogs to protect their families from her. That was also the reason why there were so many black dogs in the village. Because of deep hatred, the widow's spirit had become a demon which always craved the vitality of men. Since she wanted to remain her beauty, the woman had turned herself into a statue which was uttered with a deadly curse that said any young man who found the statue would be haunted. Since then, the myths about the widow statue had been established. As the uncle finished his story, the sun had already come up. Shin felt a shiver as he listened to his uncle telling the story. The uncle didn't tell anyone about the incident, since he didn't want the villagers to gossip about it. The old man later made a warning to his kids not to go near the spot where he buried the statue.
But some people might find
I think he should.
that was chilling and scary. But why did they have to kill the lady, man? They did that on themselves, actually.
Yeah, I understand that, but the lady was trying to get their husbands. But I'm like, you shouldn't kill her. You could just maybe you should ask your husbands also as well.
No,
Not
it's the
just-
men's fault. They
Yeah.
should know how to control themselves.
Yeah, but oh my god, that was so scary because it was like I'm like, what was going on?
No.
But I'm happy they told the story because I was thinking they're gonna do like this horror, like the other one.
Yeah, but the fact that at the end, when the uncle took what's his name? I forgot. That guy's name, Shin, like home, but they forgot to put the woman back. So it was just
I don't think I would have the time to even do that at all.
no, but at least no one find it. But I feel like
Yeah, but-
someone will.
Yeah, but I think he should let the villagers know. And they should all go and bury this man far
Yeah.
away from the village. Like,
I know.
But a kid can go and find this,
Yeah.
or other people who are also farming.
I don't know, but that's so weird.
Yeah.
That story is scary, man. And like the woman when it went like on the neck of that guy, she was looking like a snake. You see
And
this
a vampire.
green snake like opening his teeth like
She was
that.
like, "Look at that."
It was so weird. But at the beginning, it was the man like on the first start of the story. The man was hugging the
Oh, the
statue
lady. Yeah, so I was like, maybe the man is in love with the statue.
or something.
That's what I was
I thought the
guessing.
man had the problem.
Ah!
When I first saw that, but it wasn't. But anyways, I will rate this actually 7.
7.
Mm.
I would rate it an 8.
Mm.
Yeah, because it was a little bit creepy.
No,
But-
I was waiting for the story for a long time when they stole that statue, but the uncle wasn't speaking.
Yeah, so I was getting frustrated as well, but I'm happy that they gave
Solved
out
it.
the story as well because I was like, just say the story.
But anyways, thank you
Thank you
for
for
watching.
watching.
Make sure you subscribe and like for more videos. Thank you.
Bye bye.